Hello, this is a lesson on storyboarding. In this little mini tutorial, we're going to be taking some points from Film Directing Shot by Shot, the Stephen D. Katz wonderful book about visual storytelling, and the March 2020 Sight and Sound magazine. The reason I want to look to these two titles in particular is because I think they're actually kind of wonderful in terms of what they provide us with as tools for understanding storyboarding and the art thereof. Let's have a look first of all at this book here. So for storyboards, what's really interesting with this article here, and I'll scan them in and upload them to our classroom, but there's a overarching emphasis on storyboards as being integral to the visualization process of bringing to life kinetic images, whether it be video, whether it be animation, whether it be a comic book or graphic novel. And I feel like for many of you, for your projects and projects you're going to be working on in the future, is something we need to discuss and develop a bit more. So in your storyboard you can work on elements such as your structuring your shot flow, the sequencing of the shots as well. The storyboards throughout this book in particular are revealed as being integral to the controlling of the process when it comes to creating moving images. Now I'm going to give you an overview in this mini lesson here. Now the director typically works alongside the artist to develop the actual shot by shot flow of the images, and what we're going to be looking at today is some basics really as to how we can use storyboards in our work. Now reference and research is one of the main reasons I've found when working on jobs in industry for storyboards, as a way to communicate an idea to somebody else's mind from my mind. So using images, sketches, arrows and annotated text markers on each image, storyboards can be an invaluable tool to illustrate all aspects of the visual process, whether it be lighting, whether it be camera movements, whether it be the edits between shots. These images from Orson Welles' Citizen Kane are wonderful, particularly when compared to the actual finished work itself. You can see how the detail translated itself. Now with your storyboards, they haven't necessarily got to be as meticulous as the ones I'm detailing to you right now, which are works of art in and of themselves, but they do need to communicate the story. They do need to communicate what you are trying to communicate to your cast and crew at a glance. So Hitchcock in particular, someone we looked at in relation to Psycho and Vertigo, was a stickler for the detail in his storyboards, and that of course manifested beautifully in the actual finished works themselves. The illustrations were integral and the prime mover in many instances for the suspense and the mise en scène within each of his masterworks. Now in terms of materials to get us started with, a pencil is preferable if you've got one. Ink and charcoal dust are popular as well, even today. If you haven't got a robust digital tool that you're comfortable with, then a pencil and some ink, whether it be just from a biro or if you're very artistic, charcoal dust would be interesting in terms of lighting techniques. So we're going to be taking a look at different techniques. I'm going to bring them together into a scene that I'm thinking about shooting, or I was going to be shooting it over Easter, but it's been complicated, as I'm sure you can appreciate, trying to get actors to film recently. So I'm going to bring together some of the pointers and advice from the book here and the illustrations you can see on the outside of the screen from Bong Joon-ho's Parasite to give us some examples as to how we can storyboard. Here we see an example, relatively simple, but with annotations here detailing what the action is whether the actor used to be in a particular space or not in terms of the staging as well. Some instruction for the actors. Here we see a zoom in, literally illustrated with an arrow just there, which is something you shouldn't shy away from really in terms of directing. This here is something I've used quite a lot as well. So a frame within a frame to indicate a zoom or dolly move, the lines connecting the inner frame to the corners of the outer frame. So to show the transition from one shot to another, as it were. Now, what I want us to have a little play with then is to try to go beyond our normal storyboards, which can be somewhat minimalist and simplistic, to try to include some more nuance and subtlety. We're going to also try to include some arrows to show movement, whether it be of the actual camera or the actors themselves. So let's have a little look, shall we, at what we can do. So I'm going to illustrate, and I've got one of these, you've probably seen it behind me there as well, one of these little mannequin fellas, quite useful for storyboarding. I heartily encourage you to invest. Now, what I want to do in my first shot is to consider, well, like David Mamet tells us, I suppose, what is the scene about? What does the character want? These are the two things for us to consider. So I haven't got a storyboard template to hand here, so I'm just going to sketch out a square like so. Now, in my idea, which I'm working with another person on at the moment as a Google Doc script for BBC Three shorts, I want to establish a character who is coming into a college to give a motivational talk to young people about cyberbullying. He was someone who was cyberbullied himself, and in this BBC Three comedy sketch we're going to detail in 5 minutes the unravelling of this character and these 3 college students in the front, and the relationship between the 4 of them as we proceed. It becomes a little bit more complicated than just the victim who turned hero at the front delivering a presentation and the students in the front row nodding along, going, yes, isn't cyberbullying awful? It becomes a little bit more complicated as things progress. But as things start, I know that my character, I want him to, I know what he wants. He wants to be seen as impressive. He wants to be respected. He wants to be seen as a hero, someone who's against the odds fought back from the ills of social media trolling. So I'm going to have the character enter from somewhat of a low angled shot, I suppose. So let's have a look here. So I get my little mannequin fella. I'm not very good at drawing, but I'm going to try. Okay, sort of like so. Okay, so low angled shot I'm going to give them here. So this character's going to be mid-30s. So I'm going to try to make them look quite heroic with a nice square jaw there. And I'm going to, as you can see, I'm sketching it. The reason I sketch things like so is that if I make mistakes I can just go over the line and thicken it up to make it look a little bit better if I find that I've not quite got my dimensions right. So nice square jawline there, quite heroic. I want them to have a bit of a cool dude haircut, I suppose. Now, am I ironically going to draw myself now and reveal myself as a try-hard wannabe hero? We'll see. Like a ridiculous, outlandish, like a brand almost haircut here. God, it is me, isn't it? Okay. There we go. And I want them to have sort of like soft eyebrows, sort of like a boy band figure, trying to look cool and sympathetic for the fans. A little smirky grin, I suppose. There. Okay. There we go. Okay, and I want them to sort of look like from quite a low angle here, I suppose. So I'm going to, at this point, indicate to my camera crew that this is a low angled shot. low angle. And I want them sort of like a Wonder Woman style pose. Hands not quite on the hips, but all but on the hips, if you know what I mean. Shoulders looking quite broad, quite confident, and I'm going to have him wink as well. So, yeah, okay. How can I show him winking then? So I'm going to, at this point here, I'm going to draw around the eye. I'm going to expand that out, and I'm going to just put a little eye there, sort of like the eye is closing. Wink. It's like a cut in. I'm going to cut in for that shot there, and then cut back. Cut in and back. So, ding, and cut back out. Okay, there we go. What's it going to be wearing? Got to think about the semiotics, haven't we, in terms of what they're wearing, what they want to communicate to other people in the world. I think this person here is probably going to show that, trying to reclaim the youth that was taken away from them, I suppose, because they were cyberbullied somewhat, so now they're appropriating young cool people haircuts, but they are much older. I'm going to give them one of those supreme bum bag things that you hipster kids like so much, because on a guy approaching middle age, I think that'd be quite a funny juxtaposition. Wrinkles there as well. Okay, that's the first shot there. Now we have the door just here, so they've entered through here, and we're going to have a lectern just here as well. So the reason we have a lectern is it's going to suggest, because that's a signifier of a lecture, of a sage on a stage delivering information to an audience there. There we go. I'm going to have him sort of nod. So as in, yeah, I'm going to show these kids. Okay, that's my first shot. So I'm going to label that shot 1. Now my second shot, I'm going to cut to the audience, and in the audience I'm going to, after revealing the rows of students here, I'm going to cut in again, but this time to reveal our 3 lads who are going to be sat at the front, just here. So start of a wide, shot number 2, and we're going to some stairs there in the lecture theatre, and we're going to cut in so I can add detail later, or not at all. I can just signify the busy, buzzing, full lecture theatre with little visual representation like so. Okay, so we're then going to cut in to these guys here. Okay, I want it to be quite dark and moody at this point as well, so like a stage almost, so like a light here, like he's on a stage, our main character. Okay, so when we cut into our next shot here, what I'm going to do, so I want a gradual zoom at this point as well, so I want the camera sort of like panning in, or dollying in rather, dolly in, and then we're going to cut to our 3 characters. So now this is when your reflection might come in quite useful. So I can see myself here in the OBS broadcast. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at myself and try to pull the faces of the people I want. So the word what always seems really confrontational to me. What? Just when I do that, what? Actually, my face sort of goes to one side a little bit, doesn't it? So I'm going to have our central character here. So I'm going to sort of like a see no evil, hear no evil, the three monkeys sort of in a row here. I could have that visual gag of one of them sort of like see no evil, hear no evil. So I'm going to have one of these guys here with the AirPods in, like so. And these kids are going to have one of those brutal skin fade haircuts. Difficult to draw that, really, isn't it? I'm going to try. So this kid in the middle is going, what? It's not bad. And a bit angrier. What? Arms folded somewhat. Okay, this guy here, I'll see no evil. So that is going to be, I don't know, on his phone, not even watching. He's going, he's laughing. And these guys all have the same haircut as well, and like a brutal sort of tiny fringe, but like a really neat sort of skin fade haircut. And they're going to have those chains as well, all three of them. So it's quite an interesting visual straight away. See no evil, hear no, speak no evil. So this guy here, a pretty mean mugging to our character. There we go. So we're cutting between the three shots. We've managed to get an idea straight away of the beginnings of our story. Now I'm just going to hold that wide shot. And I'm going to give an instruction here for this character here in the middle to mouth the word what. Okay, so what we've done in this little mini exercise is to detail three different shots. So our first shot from here, so our second shot, cutting in to reveal our third shot here. Now what I would like you to do now is to start storyboarding the first three shots of your project. Now when you're doing this, look at the examples I've given you guys in Classroom. In particular, give some attention to the wonderful Bong Joon-ho's storyboards. Yeah, really sort of interesting, humorous, irreverent, playful, dynamic, kinetic way of telling stories, and that comes across really well in his storyboards. Different sort of size frames, as you can see here. So don't feel restricted in any way by the parameters of the storyboard template we give you guys in class. It can be much bigger, can be much smaller, whatever you are comfortable with, embrace that. Now the sight and sound examples that Bong Joon-ho illustrates as well and talks about give a real idea about how to use outside the frame as well, and how that can show the camera operator in particular how they will manipulate that space. Now first 3 shots of what I'm looking for you to do. I want you to share that with me once you've done that, so I can see how your ideas are coming along. But look at the examples that Bong Joon-ho shares with you in Google Classroom, and feel free to message me as well. But what I want you to do most of all is to consider that this is a visualization process. This is to think about the flow and the mood of your particular project. And it's really important to me that you try to control the process. And storyboarding for me is one of the best ways to do that, okay? Any questions, feel free to speak to me, but this is an overview, an introduction, Storyboarding 101, essentially to give you the ingredients to get you started, okay? Good luck.